I can't tell you how many times people tell me that, what you've done in one session is worth 20 years of therapy. If I learn and grow from the challenges that I face in my life now, then I don't have to relearn the lessons again, because the universe is relentless. Where is he? Because the real he is not there. Where is he? Where is he gone? Why did he have to go? Why are we going through this? We all have the ability to tap into guidance. To attain detachment, the only way is to practice it in meditation.
Can't you have fun and be on the spiritual path?
Yes. Introspection is not meditation. You're examining your motives and your actions, your speech. You're doing your own introspection. You're going within.
Sometimes we are faced with situations that are so challenging and questions that are so perplexing that we have to look beyond the realm of rational worldly explanations. It is at times like this that people turn to spirituality for answers. Our guest on this episode of Buzz by the Bay is a teacher and writer who specializes in offering spiritual solutions to life's trials and tests. Very pleased to welcome on the show, all the way from Toronto, Canada, Manisha Melwani. Welcome, Manisha.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Pleasure to meet you in person.
Thank you. Me too, yeah.
All the way from Canada, and you have written authored a book on spirituality, your spiritual journey, a guide to unfolding your divine self. You yourself have had a very interesting personal journey into spirituality, how you embarked on this path. And I want to talk about that, as well as some of the solutions that you offer to people. Because I've been through your various blog posts and I've been through your book as well. And I must say, you really simplify Vedanta in your book. Was that the aim, like a Vedanta 101?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I like to break down concepts into the way that I can understand them, and the simpler the better.
So a book like yours would actually be really ideal for a Western audience as like an introduction into Hindu philosophy.
That is actually, yes, a good way to put it. Yes, because people who are in the West, they understand that they need more information, more meaning in their lives, but they don't know where to look. And they do look to the Eastern traditions, and they end up at a yoga studio. They might take a meditation class. But there are many of them who have questions. And because I like to break things down into simple little chunks, I think this is a good book for a Western audience, but also a person who is even here in India.
Of course.
Because, the knowledge that we get from the masters is scattered in so many books. It's in Sanskrit, it's in different regional languages. But to have it like as an introduction, an overview to your spiritual journey.
Yes.
That's the title of the book, right? So a guide to unfolding your divine self.
I was going through it, and I like the way you paraphrase so many concepts, whether it's the gunas and rajas, sattva and tamas, or whether it's vasanas. I like the way that you explain these concepts in your book in a very simple and nice way. So you specialize in spirituality and wellness solutions for life and stress management. So do you essentially apply principles of Vedanta to modern day problems? Is that what you do?
Yes, essentially, when we understand that we are spiritual beings on an evolutionary journey through lifetimes, that's when it brings a higher perspective to life. It's not just this life and me and mine and small, but Vedanta is the science, or the science of the spirit, or
Yes.
the science of the soul. It gives us a perspective of our existence. It takes us to a higher vantage point. So there are things that people say, relationships are always an issue with a lot of people. So if they ask problems, why is this, why does this person do this? We have to have a higher understanding, or you could say a deeper understanding of the real meaning of relationships, for example, that they are like a mirror. It's not about the other person. It's the other person's providing a mirror to you, and whatever you see in them is what you have here. So if I get angry at you, it's because I already have anger in me.
Right.
Because whatever comes out is here. It's here in me. So so these are the kind of things where people need to kind of twist. There are psychologists, psychiatrists who take a different perspective, more therapeutic kind of understanding. But the way that I support people's lives is by giving them a higher spiritual perspective, meaning a perspective of who their real identity is, that they are spiritual beings on an evolutionary journey. And there is much more that if I, if I learn and grow from the challenges that I face in my life now, then I don't have to relearn the lessons again, because the universe is relentless. Unless you learn the lessons. So supposing there is someone who says, I don't want to have this person in my life anymore, I'm separating. Well, you can separate, but you will find that another person with the similar issues will come into your life. Because the universe wants you to learn. What we're actually here to do is grow and learn and evolve. And until that's the real purpose of our life, to evolve and to bring out the spiritual shine from within. And until we understand that, then we'll just be finding little stopgap solutions, temporary, feels good, but then again it starts erupting.
You said a lot of beautiful and very interesting things. You said that our purpose is to evolve. Essentially, we're spiritual beings. When people come with problems, whether it's relationship problems, there's so many mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and all of that, you offer a solution from a different vantage point, a higher understanding.
Exactly.
Essentially, what you're saying is that we're souls with a body. We're not bodies with a soul, as what
Exactly.
Hinduism says.
Nice.
So you help people look at their problems through this prism.
Right. To higher understanding of who they really are. What is the higher purpose of life?
Yeah.
And until we understand and accept that, we're just going to remain at this level. Because people, like, really, as I mentioned, relationships are gold. This is where we really learn. And they are the hardest because we are constantly in contact with people in our lives. They come into our lives to teach us what we need to learn. What qualities? Is it forgiveness, acceptance, overcome envy or jealousy, whatever it might be. So these are the kinds of negative emotions that we all harbor. They are within us. So how do we overcome this? We can't just say, okay, I'm going to overcome jealousy. The universe has to provide you with an example where you have to work on it, and the person comes and then you have those feelings.
Yeah.
And then you need to work on those feelings and understand how you can overcome them.
So you're saying, but you have to resolve these issues now, otherwise they will keep coming up. Let's talk a little bit about your journey and how you got onto this spiritual path. It's your book also says, in your blog says that you became a seeker probably at the age of 20. You lost your father suddenly, tragically, when he was very young and you were very young, and that kind of shook you and put you in this path. So if you could just tell us a bit about.
Yes, I've always been a bit hokey. I always liked metaphysical things as a teenager. And I was into things like palmistry, astrology, face reading, body language, you name it, okay? Anything different. So if you look at life in this way, there's worldly, kind of everyday, tangible world that we live in. And then we have the metaphysical. So, and then from metaphysical to the spiritual. Metaphysical world was what I was always interested in. And then my father passed suddenly. He had a heart attack and he was only 54. Mm-hmm. I was 20. And it was devastating. It was devastating. That's an understatement also. My mother was like a bird with just one wing. And I was, closest to her. At home, my sister was already married and living abroad. My brother was grappling with handling the business. So I was with my mom, and together we started seeking solace through satsang, religious and discourses on spirituality. And I used to go to every place that I visited. I would say, I'd have almost like a mental frame. Are you my guru? Because when my father passed, I had so many questions. Why? Why did he have to go so quickly? Why? Where is he gone? They brought the body back to the house right after he passed. Before they took the body to the crematorium. And I remember looking at the body. It didn't look anything like my loving dad. And I remember saying, just take it away. There was no sense of identification with that body. And I wanted to know, where is he? Because the real he is not there. Where is he? Where is he gone? Why did he have to go? Why are we going through this? What is the journey of the soul? What's my real purpose? These are the deep questions that started really festering in my mind. All these other metaphysical things were like stupid. Who cares? Imagine if I knew my father was going to pass.
Yeah.
I would be suffering even before.
Right.
So yes, the turning point, what brought me onto the path and seeking, is the passing of my father.
And then you were searching for answers and searching for a guru. And then you say that only 20 years later, you found your guru in the great Swami Chinmayananda.
Yes. It took 20 years, not because he wasn't there. I think that, in 7 years, when I was 27 and I got married and I came to Canada, I was already introduced to the Chinmay mission there. I was already exposed to Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda's teachings, but I wasn't ready because within 5 years of moving, because I grew up in Singapore, and I moved to Canada, and within 5 years of marriage, we had 3 children, and they were all boys.
Oh, tough.
I was just so busy. My life was so busy. But this longing continued. And it was just festering, it's like, I want to know more. But all this time, I would just continue to buy books and read and understand and all. But somehow, I for some reason, didn't connect with the Chinmay mission and Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda at that stage. It was only in 2001 that I started feeling that he could be the one.
Really? You just got that feeling. He was not alive then.
Yes.
I mean, his physical body was not here.
That's right. Yeah. He had what we call the Mahasamadhi, where he leaves his body. Mahasamadhi was in 1993. And I'm looking at, about 7-8 years later. So it was relatively recent. And when I was involved with the Chinmay mission, with the children being in the program, I being a program teacher in one of the classes for the Baal Viha program, people used to talk about Gurudev a lot.
Yes.
And whenever they spoke, at that time, I started feeling emotional. I would just want to cry, and I didn't know why. So I wanted to find out if he was the one, but somehow I didn't understand his high-level teachings. I needed to take some time and have the space to understand it, what I was feeling. But I just didn't have the time. But the time came. It was just very serendipitous. Our children went to a summer camp in Rochester, New York, and it synchronized completely with a spiritual camp that was being held in Piercy, California, through the Chinmay mission.
Yeah.
And that's when I connected with Swami Chinmayananda in my heart and in my mind. And it was in his personal space, because he used to give talks there.
Yeah.
And he had a cottage, or we call it a kutia, with a living room, a bedroom. So I used to go there and I used to ask, are you my guru? Are you my guru? And I guess one day, just before I was about to leave, I had an inner conviction, like a feeling of complete knowing that yes, no doubts, nothing, he is the one. And it was something that happened to me when I was sitting in the bedroom in front of his picture. And it was an inner knowing. I can't explain. It was not my head telling me. It was just my whole being knew he was my guru.
Wow, those experiences are rare, right?
Very precious.
You can't explain them in words.
No.
Like I said, there's no worldly explanation for so many things. It just, you feel it in your body, in your soul, the answer comes to you from some higher power that, this is
Yeah.
your guru, this is your person. And Swami Chinmayananda was one of the world's greatest spiritual leaders,
He is.
spiritual giant, an intellectual giant. His explanations of Vedanta infused with humor, they're just brilliant.
Absolutely.
I've also been a follower of his.
It's good to know that you also have connections with Swami Chinmayananda.
Yes. So, did you then make peace later on with your father's passing? Then, did you come to terms with it? Did you find
Of course.
explanation?
Yes, of course. I was finding explanations through books already after his passing, because I was continuously learning and studying, and
Yeah.
it was always books like, what is the path of the soul? And I would take up books written by our saints and sages. But I had more questions about many, many things in life. And I think, as you mentioned, Gurudev was a high level, consummate teacher. He brought very high level teachings in a simple, easy to understand kind of way to the everyday person. And that was what I really loved, because every question that I wanted, I would find it. The answer I would find. So, and even if I don't find it in any book and I don't know where to look, I will write to him and I say, you got to figure this out for me, because you're not here. So you better tell me what
You
this
write
means.
to him.
I write.
And you get answers somehow.
Absolutely.
You get answers.
Absolutely. All the time. All the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I learned some years ago, I don't know whether it's relevant, but we all have the ability to tap into guidance that is constantly being brought to us. Some people hear, that's clairaudient. Some people see, that's clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Some people feel, that's sentient, and then claircognizant. Claircognizant is what I am, where I only figured that out afterwards, because I would get the answers as my own thoughts. And I find that if I'm trying to get the thoughts and organize them, the best way is to write. So I write, I call upon Swami Chinmayananda. So I say, dearest Gurudev, I talk like I'm writing a letter. And then the answer, I state the question and the answer comes. So it's my own thoughts that I'm writing down. And then at first I'll say, does that make sense? I'll leave it. And then I come back and says, oh my God. Oh yeah, it hits you, Or most times it's just immediate.
So is that how you
That's
help
what I've
people?
identified.
But that's so interesting.
Yes.
So you write things down and then suddenly the answer comes to you. And when the answer
It doesn't come suddenly in a way. It does, yes. But what I mean is think of it as you're asking the question and you've invoked your guru. Why would it not come, the answer?
And then do you write down the answer?
I write down the answer.
Wow, how interesting. And is this how you help people also? I know you teach Vedanta classes, but is this how you help people who come to you?
Yes. So I actually do provide intuitive consultations where when people come to me, I become like a channel. But it's like a conversation you and I are having. So I'll just say, just tell me which area of your life you want me to help you with. And I'll ask Gurudev, and then the answers come. So I tap into your energy before. And then when the person comes and I meet them, then the questions arise. Then I have some reference because I've asked. And before I do the session, I place myself as the instrument in service of the person. So I say, use me, I ask my guru, use me to convey your message to this person. So I start off with a prayer, I tune in ahead of time, and then we just have a conversation. I mean, I don't go into a trance and disappear or anything. It's just me and you kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very conversational. And, I can't tell you how many times people tell me that, what you've done in one session is worth 20 years of therapy, because the perspective is spiritual.
Wow.
It's the highest perspective.
Worth 20 years.
And many things, I don't know where they come from, but I convey it and says, oh yeah, that's true. How did you know that? Or I didn't. That's the beauty of being on the path and seeing yourself. I just want to be of service. That's all.
So, coming to your blog post, you have said in one of them that suffering is not random or purposeless. that it's designed to move us towards our own soul evolution. So, what is really the purpose of suffering? Because someone who's suffering may not agree, you know.
That's the beauty of having a spiritual perspective, because it adds purpose even to your suffering. Otherwise, I become a victim. I become a victim. You know, he's done that to me 20 years ago. She did this, or blah, blah. You know, so many stories people carry, all this baggage that people carry, and somehow it becomes like a badge that they carry. It becomes a part of their identity. That, you know, I suffered and I'm a survivor, you know. But these are the things we need to let go. The more we hold on to the past with resentment, with pain, with angst, we need to release them. Why not just be free? So if we explain that, you know, there is a purpose, look, this is the quality, whatever the quality might be. Maybe what you need to learn is acceptance. Maybe what you need to learn is how to love, how to give.
Okay.
You know?
So suffering can teach you all of that.
Absolutely.
Can make
And
you
know,
humble too.
Oh, yeah. And imagine if you tell the universe and you say, hey, you didn't do the right thing, okay? This is this is unjustified. I shouldn't be going through all this. Who am I? Who am I? One single creature in creation, challenging the infinite intelligence of the Creator. That, hey, I know better than you. I don't deserve this. You must have made a mistake. So this is why we need to understand that there is a supreme intelligence that is guiding us, and that we're here to evolve. That's the only game in town. Really, that is all we need to do. If I can understand who I am, my true identity, that I am not this personality, that this personality will disappear when this body is gone, dies, that my innate existence continues, takes on another body, different set of parents, different situations and circumstances, for the sole purpose of my soul's evolution. So this garb is just the means to a higher goal. If we look at it that way, there's so much easier to let things go. It's all right. It's temporary. Everything is temporary. Will it matter? This is another question I sometimes like to explain to people. Just put it into perspective. Right now, the taxi didn't come on time. This person is late, or whatever it might be. Just rise yourself above it and say, well, will it matter tomorrow? Or today the food is no good, you know. Will it matter? Do you even remember what you ate yesterday? Most time, or what you ate last week. So many things we hold on to unnecessarily. So if we can let go by having a higher perspective and asking ourselves, will it matter in a week, a month, a year, 5 years? It will not. Everything gets swept away in this movement of time.
Yeah.
And what matters is, who have I become through it all?
The purpose is evolution. As you said, we can't identify too much with our body, mind, and intellect, although, which is what Vedanta says, which is what Swami Chinmayananda has said in so many of his lectures. You know, we are not this BMI, this body, mind, intellect.
Yes.
So ignore whatever we're feeling is connected to the outside world, to our perception, you know, that it's, we have to overcome that, which is easier said than done, because the whole purpose of life is in not to break free from this cycle of death and rebirth, you know, not to come back here to sort of be one with God or with the Paramatma, the universe.
Correct.
You know, which is a very lofty goal, but we are living on this planet, we're living on earth, we have relationships, you know, this is real. As far as we're here, it's real. So we have to, you know, as you do help people, we have to use spirituality and that higher wisdom to even guide our life here. We have to also make spirituality practical.
And actually, if you think about it, spirituality is practical. It is, because it gives you a different perspective.
So how do you, when people come to you, like, let's say, how would you help someone cultivate a sense of equanimity in, you know, when there's a lot of change or upheaval in their life, you know, how, or detachment? How would you help someone?
You know, a lot of, like what you've just said, detachment, and what was the first
thing?
Equanimity. It's not something I can convey to someone. That comes, detachment and equanimity comes as a byproduct, as a result of living life with a higher purpose and vision. So I cannot give you tools to remain equanimous, because the universe is going to bring you someone who's going to irritate you, or
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
situation.
yeah.
So it is no such thing. The essential thing is, when we study, the beauty is that when we study Vedanta, like through the study groups that we do, I find that even if it's not relevant to a person's life, we're doing a different subject, but it's a subject of Vedanta, people are transformed because the knowledge itself is so high level. The energy and the frequency of the knowledge, it just uplifts the mind.
So, from one of your blogs, I've read that a powerful way to cultivate detachment. Okay, detachment is not easy. It's not easy. We're attached to all our relatives. We're attached to the results of all our actions. But I've read that a powerful way to cultivate detachment is to always remember that you are the still inner knower of all the experiences of your life. That is what you've written in one of your blogs. Now, how do we reach that stage? Is it through meditation? Is it through
Yes.
breath work?
Right. So that's a good question. Thank you. To attain detachment, the only way is to practice it in meditation. In meditation, we are turning our attention away from the world, and we're putting it on the peaceful inner observer self, which does not have any thoughts. It's just a presence, it's a being. And if I sit in meditation and thoughts are coming, my job as a meditator is to just keep turning my focus away. The reason is, what we have to understand is that when thoughts come and I pay attention, they multiply. However, if when thoughts come and I'm vigilant and I turn my attention to I, the one who is observing them, I put the attention here, they run out of steam, they disappear.
They run out of steam.
Yeah,
So,
because they are only powered by my attention.
so if you're the witness, you have to say that this is a movie I'm watching. I'm the witness.
You see, yes, you're very right. We do this practice in meditation because everything is still, and essentially it's a high level advanced practice meditation, because people can do it to release and relax, stress and tension, but it's temporary. Afterwards they come out and they are, the same. But if you want to create enduring inner change, then even if it's a frustrating time, because you sit and you're trying to detach from your thoughts, and the thing is, you have to constantly be vigilant, because sometimes they creep in, and then you said, oh, they go into this level, this and this and this, so you move into different channels of thought, getting carried away from our identification with them. So practicing detachment in meditation, even though it may be in your mind unsuccessful, oh, today I didn't do well, maybe I just got a few seconds of calm, but the universe is so benevolent. Those few seconds that we are able to get that inner peace and calm actually give us the ability to remain detached. The things that used to bother me,
You've spoken about introspection.
introspection is different.
Okay, so if you can explain that, because you've also said in your blog that introspection is an indispensable habit of a spiritual seeker. So what is that, and what are the benefits of that?
Introspection is not meditation. It is a time that we dedicate, maybe 10-15 minutes at the end of the day, if it's possible. If not, I like to do it also sometimes during the day, sometimes first thing in the morning. But Gurudev has said, at the end of the day, you look back, you sit by yourself, you look back into your day. What did you do? You start from the morning, and then you observe all the interactions that you had throughout the day. And you don't just go through them like a movie, you are observing your inner motives. When I spoke to this person, was I paying a compliment because I wanted something back? Or when I spoke to this person, could I have said it in a nicer way? You know,
So you examine your motives.
you're examining your motives and your actions, your speech. You're doing your own introspection. You're going within. It's a 4-step process that Swami Chinmayananda has explained. The first is you look within, the introspection. You spend the time, just kind of remember introspection, detection. You detect, oh, I didn't realize it at that time, but I could have done this better. So you detect. See, unless you detect, you would start another day and you might make the same mistakes again because you are not aware. But when you yourself become aware of your own inner failings, that's when it's like a blemish. Gurudev says, you think you're looking so good, everybody's looking at you, you think, wow, I'm so handsome. Like he has a little video and he says, this man walks out, thinks he's, the talk of the town, people are looking at him, until he walks past a store window and he realizes there's a big blemish, black spot. What does he do then? He starts the way Gurudev,
Yes,
how he does. He starts rubbing and he says, yeah, immediately, once you are aware that this is what people are looking at, not this, what you want to do is clean it. What is the next thing? You negate and you don't leave it there because that becomes a void. You have to substitute with a positive action, a positive resolve, something that you can do to help you remember not to do the same thing again.
Right. So substitute it with something positive, negate it.
Right.
And that's the fourth.
It's whatever I myself have detected is what I myself want to overcome.
Absolutely.
So it's an introspection. It's a 4-step process. So you introspect, you detect, you negate, and you substitute.
That's wonderful. And it's a great process that, I think could benefit a lot of people. So what are the main benefits that you get from this? You get, your own character. Of course, you're cleaning your own character. That's one. But do you stop being bothered by a lot of things?
Yeah, absolutely. In the beginning, when we start our journey, we start off like being a victim. This person did this, I did that, it's your fault. We blame. We look outside to blame things for what's happening in my life. It's very disempowering. However, as we grow in our journey, what becomes important is, I don't care if that person was rude or unkind. How was I behaving in that interaction? Did I also stoop low to the same level as that in person's way of speaking? Or was I able to not get, sucked in? So as we grow spiritually, I, meaning you, me, anyone, we set high standards for ourselves. You become very sensitive to your own faults.
Sensitive to your own faults. Also, you stop playing the victim, which is very important, to stop playing the victim in life, because you have to have that attitude that I'm not a victim, I'm a creator. It's only then you can lead your best life.
Yes.
So, you've, going back to something else you've written on an interesting piece from the point of view of a devil's advocate, why you shouldn't
embark
the spiritual path. And you said, well, if you're interested in parties and drinking and sleeping till noon and only those kind of pleasures, then don't get on the spiritual path. But I have a question. Suppose you do partake in the material world. Of course, we all have jobs. We all have to earn a living. We all want comforts. Does that really clash with the spiritual path? Can't they coincide? Can't you have fun and be on the spiritual path?
Yes. It does not mean that if you're on a spiritual path that you have to deprive yourself and live a dry life, lifeless. No, you enjoy it. See, no matter whether we think of it as being on the path or not, it's like we are in the stream of life. We are growing, we are evolving and moving towards the sea, the river of life. So whether you do it consciously or not, in our evolutionary journey, all these everyday happenings and happy things that we indulge in, shopping and meeting and parties, they're all good, because we have to go through it before we learn to find something more. We will keep doing this as much as we want. And that's the beauty of our path. It's like going to a roller coaster ride. You wait for 2 hours to get onto the roller coaster. And then when they get up there, the thrill goes, whoo, they're so happy. And then they'll say, gotta do it again. So it's okay, because the thrill was so good, you want to do it. You'll keep doing it until you realize this is not worth it. Okay, I'm done. I've had enough. I don't think this is worth it to stay for this long in line for the ride. And you realize I'm good without it.
But
And
can't
because
there be a
you
balance?
Yes, absolutely. And there should be a balance. You see, it's not worldly things that even Gurudev in his lecture says, if the world had no pleasure or joy, we would all be hanging like fruits from the tree, because we won't want to live.
Exactly.
So we do need the everyday pleasures. The only thing that he explains is that don't make that your focus of life. Don't make that your be all and end all.
So enjoy it, but don't let it rule your life. Don't let these sense pleasures rule your life and be the end all and be all of your existence. That if you don't get something, you're absolutely miserable.
Exactly.
So don't let them govern you.
Yeah.
You control them.
Yes.
Don't let them control you.
Exactly.
Essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Last couple of things, you talk about, embarking on a spiritual journey. When do you know you're ready to embark? And you too use the term conscious evolver. And as you have said in your book also, that Swami Chinmayananda says that you cannot be completely free of worldly entanglements to embark on the journey. We've just discussed that. So, what is important when you first embark? How can you gradually, when you know you're ready for it, what can you do? And
the first thing, we will never start on the spiritual path, and we will not be able to sustain ourselves there if we are not able to bring in satsang into our life. Sat and sang. Sat meaning that which is the truth, which is pure and noble, good, spiritual knowledge. Sang is being in associated with. So it's not sitting down and doing bhajan kirtan.
Yeah.
That is one aspect that people associate satsang with. But satsang is to bring our mind to the higher every single day. This is indispensable. Because we bring ourselves to this higher truths of life, that's when we sharpen our sense of discernment. We understand what's good, what's not, what's right, what's wrong. What should I be doing? What should I be abstaining from? So satsang gives us the viveka. Actually, in the Ramayana, it says, Binu satsanga viveka na hoi.
Discrimination
doesn't come. So we need to have that discrimination in life, because if we don't, I like to say discernment, because discrimination is in the right context in Vedanta. If we are Vedanta students, we will say discrimination, but everyday language, discernment. We need to be able to discern better. What is right for me, what's good, what's high. So the only way I can do this is to invite positivity into my life consciously, daily, as much as possible. So satsang, being in spiritual company daily, is the first important initial step that we sustain throughout our lives. It's indispensable.
Lastly, I'd like to end with, you have written a lot on meditation in your blogs. I've seen that. Can you give the audience some tips meditation is not easy, especially for a beginner. Can you leave us with a few tips on how to improve in your meditation practice and evolve and finally be a successful meditator?
Yes. Gurudev has a book, Swami Chinmayananda has a book called The Art of Contemplation. And he was speaking to a group in Singapore, actually, many years ago, and they had the same question. But they were very enthusiastic about the spiritual path. They loved Swami Chinmayananda being there, and they loved the inspiration. But they were still also tied up with their worldly attachments. So how do you detach? And we have to understand that the mind that we are bringing to the meditation seat is the exact same mind that we are using to interact with the world. Right? I didn't change I don't have a different mind. It's the same mind. So whatever impressions that I have gathered during my day-to-day life are the same impressions that are going to be sitting there waiting to come up when I'm quietening myself for meditation. So we have to clean up our entire life, really. It's an advanced practice. It's very lofty. And we're not ready. So because we're not ready, what do? Well, he starts very simply in that book. So if there's anyone listening, please get that book. It's very thin, very easy. He says, start with sitting still.
Sitting still.
Yes, because even sitting still is a discipline. You can't sit still. How are you going to still your mind?
Exactly.
So learn how to sit still, and then from the body, go into just slow down your breathing, focus on the breath. So from all these many thoughts, bring them into focus on the breathing. So you are bringing see, as I mentioned earlier, the thoughts flow where attention goes. So if my attention is there, they will start to multiply. And it's said in the Bhagavad Gita as well, posture is very important. So the right upright posture, that everything should be upright, straight, in a straight line. The head, the neck, and the back should be in a straight line. So what this does is it makes you alert. Otherwise when you're lying flat, you feel relaxed and then you'll eventually fall asleep.
Yeah.
So yes, the first step would be to learn how to practice sitting still. Then go on to focusing on the breathing. And when you can do that, you'll notice that your mind starts to become quieter, and you'll say, and then, the mind chatters. You'll say, wow, this is great. I'm actually quietening my mind. That is something you cannot allow your mind to go there. You must say, that's okay. Focus back on the breathing. So you keep bringing it back on the breath until you suspend the breath. When you inhale, you hold the breath momentarily. I'm not asking you to do great pranayama, but just hold the breath momentarily and then breathe out. And when you breathe out, keep it out. Again, hold the silence. You'll find that when you are not breathing actively in or out, the two silent points, when your lungs are full and when your lungs are empty, your thoughts are suspended.
Yes.
So when you do that, that's a simple way to start. Even these few little steps are a way that we can start our meditation process. The one thing I say in the last chapter on the daily habits of a spiritual seeker, I say, if there's one thing that I'd like you to please consider taking on, if there's nothing else, one thing, and that is resolve to wake up early.
Okay.
Between 4:30 and 6, resolve to wake up early. Wow. And that's all. When you resolve to do that, imagine if you had a flight, you would say, hurry, let me finish up everything quickly. No, there's no time for any extraneous activities. I have to sleep because I have to wake up. I have a flight to catch. So Gurudev says, be business-like in your appointment with yourself, which is your meditation time. You will find this one habit. I'm speaking for myself. This is what I share is always what I have gone through. This one habit has transformed my entire life.
Waking up early and meditating in the morning.
Yes, it has been the most transformative habit. And even if you don't feel that you can meditate at that time, for whatever reason you have something early to do, at least take something to reflect on. Read and reflect. Do a japa, do a little prayer, do something, even if it's not full-on meditation. But for your sadhana, meaning your spiritual practice, if you can dedicate that morning time for your spiritual pursuits, whatever way they look, you will set your tone for the day.
Set your tone for the day.
Yes. And then slowly, as life releases you from all the pressing concerns and duties and all that, it'll be very easy.
Yes.
So we have to start that, and it cleans up your whole life. So when you set your own sacred space and time and boundaries, people respect that.
So
otherwise we make many excuses because I'm not convinced. But if I'm convinced, people will assist me, will allow me that time.
Wonderful. I mean, so if there's one habit, wake up early, and you've given us some other lovely
Wake up early and
guidance.
do your spiritual pursuits,
Do
okay?
your
Don't
spiritual,
go on your
yeah.
phone.
Don't go on your phone. Wake up early, do either reflection or meditation or whatever it is, and that is your spiritual time. And you've given us so much wisdom and guidance. I've learned a lot through this. Thank you so much,
Oh, thank
Manisha,
you.
and keep spreading this wonderful knowledge to people, through your book and through your classes. Thank you so much for joining us on Buzz
Thank you
Melody.
for having me. This is such a wonderful honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.